Remember this? Oh, Craig! Get the rope out of the tinder cupboard, there's a good lad.
Alright, Len. Now then, let's have a look what we got here. Gee, bog rolls. Dead mouse. Priceless Ming vase. Oh, honestly, I've never seen so much rubbish. Yesterday's paper, that's mine. The Beano, that's yours. Aha, finally. A rope. There you go.
How about this?
You better take care, Godred. I'm concerned. You have an accident.
I've got automatic brakes, haven't I? Driver's got his air brake. Risk cure.
You've got to remember this.
Derek,
Yes, dear?
I don't need you to panic, but I think it would be best if you put your paper down and take cover.
Why, dear?
Because there appears to be a train coming straight for our tiny room wall!
That's nice, dear.
What? This week on Sodor Stream, a few friends and I are going down memory lane. We're going to reminisce about the first fan media we seen, the first fan media we participated in, and the first fan media we produced, among other things as well. So put on some comfortable footwear and join us for a nice little stroll down memory lane. This is Sodor Stream. Episode 2, Gem Calls Enigmatic Enamel Buckets. Part 1. Hello again and welcome to Sodor Stream Episode 2, Gem Calls Enigmatic Enamel Bucket. Joining me tonight are one of my best friends, Chris Signore.
Hey.
Knuckles.
How you doing?
EnterprisingEngine93.
Hey guys.
Max Davies.
Hello.
Carson.
What's up?
TTNP Studio, aka Taylor. And BluePioneer.
Hello, how you going?
Now, obviously, we're here to talk about Thomas Media through the years, our different contributions to the Thomas Media scene. First question for everyone really is, why do we create fan media to begin with? What has inspired us to get involved in this, and what drives us to keep going with it?
Well, for me, it's just growing up with programs like Thomas and pretty much every children's show in nowadays. It's just basically, what's it called? It's
Pleasing?
Yeah, that's the word.
Right.
It's just see all these magic on the TV, like understanding how the models work, how animation works, just picking things apart and understanding how they do it, and just thinking, wow, I'd love to do something like that. That's just part of the reason how I got into animation and drawing to begin with, and gradually in audio and video editing myself.
Anyone else?
I really like doing it because I get to work with a lot of close friends of mine, and we all kind of work together as a massive team creating stuff. Like, for example, Haunted Henry took about like 10 or 15 of us all working together to kind of come up and create, and then Shining Time Greetings took like 20 of us. There was a lot more on that one, since that one was a lot bigger. But yeah, I like doing the stuff that I do because it's just really fun. I get to meet a lot of great people doing it, and I have a lot of close friends working with me on it.
Yeah, Shining Time Greetings was fantastic to work on, to do voice work, Carson. I thoroughly enjoyed doing that.
Thank you.
It's nice getting back into the mainstream of doing it again. I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying doing that. Matt, what about yourself? I mean, what inspired you to get involved with the media scene? How did you get started?
Well, I didn't make my channel until 2011, but I had been learning since 2007. And I finished my junior year of high school, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. So over that summer, I made 13 stories, and I didn't really care about who was watching. I just enjoyed making them so much. But then I discovered at that point that there was a community
Mhm.
of people creating stories together, and they wanted to get in touch with one another. And I think I gained a lot of momentum after that, because I was not only doing it for my own enjoyment, but kind of like what Carson said, is I made so many friends doing it.
Max, what about you? What did you do to get started? And ultimately, what drove you to do your own stuff?
It's very similar, to be honest. Like Chris said, it's like it's crossing that line between watching Thomas as like a show growing up, and then actually taking a closer look of like how it's filmed, and like you kind of just have a drive to want to have a go yourself. I was the same. I didn't really find out that other people were already making their own fan stuff till about 2012. But yeah, since then it's like, oh, just think, yeah, I'd like to have a go at that. Why not? And it just carries on from there.
Tom, what's your opinion on that?
For me, it was like just the fact that someone had already done it, and seeing actually how if you got the ability to make something and make it better, if you got the software, if you got the idea, and you know who can implement and who can bring something to the table, it's like a medium. It's like a medium for us to express ourselves in something that's already been done. It gave us a chance to kind of see our own ideas, and we had the footage anyway, so we didn't have to spend ages like filming it. We could just add what we wanted to, because the mouse didn't move, so you could have them say whatever you want. So they gave us more freedom to kind of come up with our own stories, let them have things they'd say. There was no lip syncing or anything, so that made it even better.
So that's an advantage that we had back then that they don't have now. The CGI stuff is all got to be, it's all lip sync. It's impossible to change it up the way that we did. Taylor, what about you?
Well, I kind of arrived late on the scene. I didn't start making my YouTube channel until 2015, but I haven't seen Thomas Fan Media since, I want to say, a year prior. And one of the big influences was you, Matt, with your Enterprising Engine series. And I've seen people using the different toy ranges and the Bachmann and Hornby models. And I had a whole collection of take and plays, and I was thinking, there isn't really a take and play person, there's not a lot of take and play people, so I figured I might as well start making my own videos using the take and play toys.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Gavin, I can remember Rail as a Sodor getting off the ground back around about, I'm wanting to say about 2005-6ish.
Yeah.
Am I right there?
2006.
Yeah.
First started.
I mean, what kind of influenced you to get started? Because, I mean, back when you were starting out, it was like the predominant stuff that was coming out around about that time was like redubs and such. I think the only other major, decent one that was doing anything was Captain Punjab's series. So what influenced you to get started?
Well, for me, it was a strange story, really. It's a bit like what I wrote in the SF blog way back years ago. Pretty much when I was 19 in the army, I finished stagging on the tower, and I was looking online, and I come across the Real Lives of Thomas the Tank Engine website, and kind of rekindled something. So from that point on, a few years later, I saw in the guard room somebody had Windows Movie Maker. That's how I hit another spark in me. And then when I come home, I had a camcorder, and I just started piddling about with the model railway, just making like a little video, but editing it with just the camera. And I thought, well, how can I do this properly? So then I got a audio video capture device, brought that, and I didn't realise at the time it came with Pinnacle Studio, I don't know, QuickStart 7 or something.
Pinnacle was the one I used Pinnacle was the one I was using for a while. I've not got it anymore because I don't edit video anymore, but yeah, I mean that was one of the ones I used when I was actually doing video.
It was either 7 or 9, but I found it to be a pretty good program, but it kept jamming all the time.
Yeah.
Quite infuriating. It started there, really, pretty much. And then when I made those, the actual very first Rail as a Sodor video, that was before I knew about SAF or Captain Punjab or any fan media for that matter. Basically from the Real Lives of Thomas site, I found SAF, and that's where I then started to speak to people about how to get these videos out there. And then I created YouTube, and that's it, really.
That's pretty awesome. No, for Christopher and I, when we first started, I mean, we were there when we actually first started out. We were actually in the first ever piece of Thomas fan media that was produced through SIF. It was Cyanamide at the time, I think it was Chris. Am I right there? Yes,
yeah, I think
Something in the Air it wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
That's
He was one
the
of the
That's the one.
tallest ring dust back then.
And then we said to Simon, "Oh, you're going to do another one?" Because we thoroughly enjoyed doing. I mean, well, you thoroughly enjoy doing stupid voices. And he said, "No, just I want to preserve the initial production." So Chris and I just says to each other, "You fancy doing another one?" Yeah, let's go for it. So we did Duck Takes Charge, and looking back on it, it's all right for what it is, but the voice work's probably the strongest bit. But I can recall actually saying to you, Chris, at the time, we don't bother with sound effects.
Yeah, I remember. That was very basic back then. I mean,
Yeah.
back then, we were making the most of Windows Movie Maker ourselves.
The first video that we actually edited was we'd ripped it. We'd managed to download it. I think it was off LimeWire or something. That takes you back a few years.
Oh God.
So yeah.
I'm still remembering Mega Upload.
Oh yeah, and that was another thing we used to mean. Yeah, we never had YouTube either, so everyone had to download it off the fan site via Mega Upload and that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's kind of how we get started, and then over time just kind of developed, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
I mean, in case of me using Movie Maker, I was just sort of trying to develop myself, making the most of what I had to hand, because I didn't have like Premiere Pro or Pinnacle Studios to edit stuff. I mean, for laser readers for Sodor Studios, I used just a mixture of Photoshop and Flash Player, and just combined and edited footage when I could.
But then after the whole redub thing started getting off the ground, like the old Bean and Chris started doing the first audio stuff, and then you had Captain Punjab doing the model stuff. So it just kind of ballooned. It just kind of ballooned over time from there, and just we all kind of progressed and just built up over time. And then next thing you know, the YouTube scene kind of exploded. Just kind of after we all kind of decided, right, we've had enough. Let's just break. Right.
The day when Medical Upload was up, it was actually in some ways quite exciting because you'd be on the forums and literally every 2 weeks there'd be a new redub or a new audio, and obviously you'd have to go to Medical Upload, download it, and sometimes it'd take a good while, and it was kind of anticipating. A bit of an excitement then, I thought.
Yeah, you don't seem to get. I mean, well, we don't get it anymore, but because we don't produce as much. It was more special around at that time. I felt it was more fun. Well, for us at least. What was everyone's earliest exposure to fan media? Can you remember? What was the first fan production that you guys watched?
It was the very early Sodor Studios.
Score.
Magic Carpets. And
really, that was a late one actually. That was later than what we usually did.
I really liked it. I still like it even now. I've been trying to find a copy of it.
Oh, right.
Because for me, it was the bit when it was the build-up towards when Thomas was about to run over the red carpet. That to me at the time was just like it was actually really good, quite exciting, and funny enough, that was the first time I saw the episode because I'd never watched the episode itself.
Really? Jesus.
So I actually remember as a kid thinking, I actually got the impression, I don't know why, but I had this idea that the model makers gave you some footage and put your own take on it.
No.
So it's just like, obviously realising it was actually an episode, I was like, okay, right, no.
Well, for me, it was definitely Saramai Something in the Air. That was what really got me into the redubbing scene.
Matt, what about yourself? What was the first thing you came across in 2007 when you were lurking still?
The first person I remember is Thomas Wooden 123.
Right.
He was the first person I saw to use wooden railway engines, and even I didn't know how he was doing it. I thought it was amazing. And I also watched 3034. He did like James Bond stop motion videos, and they were really cool.
Yeah, I remember him.
And Gavin, your stuff too. You were actually one of my biggest inspirations to make a series. So it's nice to talk to you today.
No problems.
Carson, what about you? What was your first exposure to fan media?
I think it was a mix of Top Kaz Fat, and then there's a Tommy channel who's no longer on YouTube. He went by like Tom Tomica something.
Oh, I remember him.
I remember he had this Edward Strikes Out video, and as a kid I was always really obsessed because he actually had the flatbeds collapse and all the pipes would spill out. And it's one of those little things that as a kid you're always like, how do they do that? And then Gavin's stuff was really big for me growing up, so it's very surreal that I'm able to talk to you today. So thank you for making the stuff that you did, because that really led me on this path that I've been on for so many years to do what I've been doing. So thank you, Gavin.
Max, what about you?
It's very difficult to remember so far back, but I do remember seeing Sodor Dark Times, roughly when it first came out on YouTube. I think it's still up.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah, that's probably one of the first memories I've got, like fan creation.
Yeah, funny story about Sodor Dark Times. You guys do know that I was going to get rebooted, don't you?
I didn't know that.
No,
Yeah.
Richard had written a script. I think it was run about 2010, 11, I think it was. I was actually due to play Gordon in that one. It was a really good script. It was a really good script. It's a shame it never really got off the ground. Gavin, first exposure to fan media.
One of the first things I did see was a mixture of Captain Punjab's, Top Matter's Vengeance, Yard, Buggered. Any one of them was probably the first one.
Oh god, Top Matter
First
one's
was it.
Vengeance. Jesus Christ. You'll take me back. Taylor, what about you? What was your first exposure to fan media?
Looking back, I remember when I was in high school, like as a senior in high school, I saw Matt's video of Mavis and the Tornado. That was one example. But I also remember Leo Kim Video's Mad Bomber episode that he did.
Yeah, one of the finest things I've ever committed to video. I mean, it's just it's a shame he's never followed that up.
I know.
There's been so much promise of doing another one, but he's just never actually done it. It's a shame.
And I also saw the Captain Punjab's Rails versus Roads trilogy he did.
Yeah.
Those were probably the first Thomas media I've seen.
Cool. Hey guys, what was your first participation in a fan production? Whether it was your own, or was it someone else's? Carson, what about you? What was your first participation?
I think it was voice acting for a friend of mine, Nathan. It was either his stuff or a guy who goes by Thomas 1, Edward 2, Henry 3. It was one of them. I could be forgetting another one, but those are the earliest that I can remember.
Tom, what was your first participation in someone else's fan project?
One of my first ones that I remember the most was a Flying Kipper Studios read about burgers.
Yeah, Chris's stuff was excellent back in the day. He was fantastic. I love the fact Chris is still active. I mean, hopefully one day I'll be able to get him on this if he's willing to do it. So, it'll be really good. Gavin, what about you? Obviously, you've done Rail as a Sodor, but who was the first person that you voice acted for out with that?
The first one I was in was BluePioneer's Old Iron. He let me play Edward, and that was literally my entry point into all the fan media. It wasn't my own. The only problem is when I recorded it, the sound only come through one ear. So when you listen to it, that's the only regret I have, really. Yeah, that's me.
I managed to find ways of getting around that, doubling up with stereo. Max, what about you? What was your first participation in a fan production? Was it your own or was it someone else's?
The chances are it was either my own or it was some joint effort with me and Harry, Terrier55 Stepney, because I don't know, we're basically just like partners in crimes when it comes to videos. Like, even since basically when I met him, it's just always helping each other out for the same productions. Either that or my own, just for voicing or whatever. Because I didn't like voicing in my early videos at all. Honestly, like Yeah, very different voice to now. Bit
No, we
awkward.
can all relate.
Yeah.
Taylor, what about you?
I would say that the first production I ever helped on was probably the Thomas Creator Collective.
That's high profile. That's high profile for a first job.
Yeah, I went from someone with who came into the fandom pretty late in 2015, and then somehow got into the Creator Collective almost during the start of it. So, not sure how that happened, but it did.
Taylor, you were discovered by the TCC for your Tug-style Thomas remakes. So if you want to know how you were found, that's how you were discovered.
Yeah, my poor Thomas Tug remakes.
But yeah, as I was saying, one of the earliest I remember for fan production participation, I can remember two. First was, again, Eric's Something in the Air, but I played like Thomas's driver. But another I can remember is some of the old Beans audio productions. I played Coldy in the Mountain Engines audio series, and I played Gordon a couple of times in the Twin Engines audio production. But Bean is just a marvel when it comes to his productions of music and acting. And after his improv, second to none.
Oh yeah, I mean I've still got improv between him and Cyanamai. One bit of improv that Cyanamai sent me. It was for mainline engines. It's the scene where Gordon's driver and fireman are walking away from him at the end of during the middle of Wrong Road when he's ended up at Brendam, and the driver's scolding the fireman for mucking things up, and the guy says to him, "Well, it wasn't really my fault." And then Eric turns round and just I think the initial line was just to make remarks to his stupidity and his fecklessness. Eric turned round and gave me a litany of different insults and that, and probably my favourite one out of the lot was,
"You're not stupid, you're just possessed by a retarded ghost."
Which I thought was hilarious, but I could never put it in. I'll put it in outtakes one day, but it won't be anytime soon. Tom, care to round us off?
I think it was my own, actually. I made a redub when I first joined the forums. I did Flower Power, a really basic kind of no real kind of because what I like to do was basically adding more to the storylines. All I did was just redub, revoiced an entire episode, and I kind of gave myself the first character, like the main character Thomas, because I wanted the chance to kind of introduce myself. I know it seems a bit cliche, like, we give yourself the main character, but I think if it's your own production and it's your first one, and you don't do it in the next few productions, I think it's fine, because you want to, you're new, you want to be able to show yourself.
What was the first production you guys undertook under your own steam? What was the first story, episode, that you've actually done on your own? I'll pose that one first to Matt, if I do it first, okay?
Yeah. My first production was a story called Lift Bridge, and it was about Oliver not paying attention and falling into an open wooden railway lift bridge. The way he fell into was in HD a year or two later, but I uploaded the original version. I had originally taken down my first 3 stories, but I put that one back up to show, hey, you're kind of embarrassed with how you start. Now I'm proud of it.
You've got to I agree with you. I mean, you've got to show a progression over time. You've got to show how you got better and how you got to where you are. Because there's a lot of people come in and they look at what you're doing just now, and they'll feel intimidated. But then you're not. But then you look back at the very early stuff, and you kind of feel a bit better because we all start out small. We all start out just we all just start out experimenting. seeing what buttons you press to make it work and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Max, what was the first thing you ever produced? Can you recall?
I remember back in 2012, I think I really wanted to start making videos on a big scale. So my first production was probably a special I did called Curse of the Tunnel. I can't remember if it's private or not on my channel right now, but probably for good reason if it is. I believe it's like nearly half an hour long. I really wanted to try and start on something like impressive to look back on when I was older. But now I'm older, I'm like, well, you know, I've learned a bit more down the line. But yeah, it was like a Halloween special, I think, filmed in trains. But I later started doing model stuff as well. It was a lot more fun, I think.
See, that's the great thing about you. I mean, you seem to be able to turn your hand to just anything. You can do you do models, you do trains. Just it's incredible to see how creative and flexible you can be with your stuff. I really like that.
Oh, thank you. I would say it's probably a case of just flipping from one thing to another, like testing something, it's like, yeah, all right, well, that's how that works, and then just instantly wanting to try and do something else. You know.
Yeah, Carson, what about yourself?
Back in like 2014, like very early 2014, I was sitting at my computer and I was just like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna remake the chase scene from Magic Railroad in Trains. And so I went on this really bad route that I had been working on. I say working on, and there's like bunches of quotation marks around it, because it's just me laying tracker around spiky mountains and badly textured valleys and stuff. So I didn't have any splatter or dodge, so I just used a Denner dart, and then I just pulled up fraps on this really bad computer, and you know, I remade the whole thing as best as I could, and for some reason it's turned out to be my most popular video. I'm not sure if I should be proud of that or ashamed of that, but all the same, it was first real video I could say that I worked on.
Okay, cool. Taylor, what about yourself? What was the first thing that you ever produced for with your Take and Play stuff?
Yeah, it was a Take and Play remake of Sunshine, the Tugs episode Sunshine. Just kept all the audio from the Tugs episode, but just had each character represent one of the Tugs characters. Like Percy was Sunshine, 10 Cents Thomas, etc., etc. And I made about 4 of those Tug stylized Thomas recreations before just ultimately deciding this is weird. It's not. I want to try making actual like Thomas based content, not just recreations. You know.
Okay, cool. Chris, can you remember what the first thing was that? Oh no, obviously you and I both did Duck Takes Charge. What was one of the other early ones that you could call upon for your own recollection?
Well, so far as fan production goes, the earliest I can remember was doing redubs of season 8, some of the episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at the time we were still adjusting to the new writing style, the longer time length, and how a big departure was from, season 7 before. So I just thought, if I was in charge of writing this series, how would I do it differently? So I just started playing around with editing the story and do that at a time. And of course, later on, I redid some of those early redubs, but I think early on, I got other people involved, not just with narrating, but writing as well, including yourself, Ryan.
Yeah.
Just to, vary things up a bit.
Yeah, I can always remember I remember doing the narrative for, what was it, Thomas and the Tuba Player. I was never, I would think it was the first, was it Thomas and the Tuba? No, it was Thomas and the Circus, I think it was the first one I did.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I was never really impressed with my own narrative style, but I've kind of come into my own more recently. Quite enjoyed doing the annual narratives that I'm doing just now. They're really, really fun to do. Yeah, Gavin, what about you? What was the earliest thing you've done?
Well, it's literally just where I was a Sodor. That's where I started, and obviously that series. But there's one thing I've done different, which is the Chavs and the Oboes of Sodor, which was an audio done by me and Davey.
Yeah, I've still got that somewhere. I'll really need to re-upload that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's one of these bits of media that no one really remembers. But if mentioned and relaunched properly, could actually have a bit of a splash. Yeah, for me, Chris, you'll remember this back in the day. I think it was around about the end of 2005. It wasn't it, when Alaric did the first Sif adventure thing?
Oh yeah, I remember. It was the Christmas one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Christmas. The quest for missing Christmas presents, and then after that we did the SIF summer holiday thing. 5-part hour-long audio things. Jesus Christ!
Oh, I remember them.
Very poor. What I can only describe as being so poorly edited that the editing quality actually adds to the humour because it's so atrociously bad. Then after that, because I always swore off doing Thomas media. But then, around about January of 2007, I just thought to myself, you know what? I produced an audio series, and I produced one big long audio drama. I'll have a go at doing a Thomas thing, and then I did branch line engines and for audio, and it was just brilliant, thoroughly enjoying. I still look back on it with a lot of very fond memories. Purely on account of the fact that so much of the stuff that we did back then was so quotable. I still get people coming up to me and talking about bacon sandwiches and that kind of thing. Oh God! I mean, you remember that trip that Wales trip we did in 2007 where we played the Percy's Predicament audio, and just for the rest of the week, bacon sandwiches just became the running gag. That's one of the things I miss. About current day productions, you don't get the same level of quotability. There's no real. No disrespect, no throwing shade in you guys on, but it's no the same as what we did back in the day, where humour was a lot more prevalent. So, well, right.
It used to be sausages at one stage. Now it's a sort of hash blob.
Yeah, can I just say that I really like your Daisy voice, Ryan?
Thank you very much, dear. I might actually do that at some point in the future. Just sit down doing a serious interview with someone and just do the entire thing in the Daisy voice and the whole Daisy persona. Well, that's all we've got time for in part 1. Join us next time when we will be answering some fan questions. If you're interested in more, please visit Sodor Island fan site at www.sodorisland.com, Sodor Island forums at sodorislandforums.com, or you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube and SoundCloud. Links to the YouTube channels and Twitter profiles of my guests are available in the description below. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.